Yeah, so it's your fault that as well.
That is.
It's one of those.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mark from Northwest Bourbon. As you know, we were supposed to have Horse Soldier Bourbon on with us tonight. And we do. There's Vince, Command Sergeant Major, the ODA 595. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. So tell us about yourself, Vince.
So I am a retired Army Sergeant Major, retired after 32 years of service in 2016. Then moved back up here to the Northwest as I was stationed here back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And we always felt like this was going to be our future home. So moved out of Kentucky and took the long, slow road, arrived in Lakewood, and now we live down in near Olympia, Washington.
Right on.
And I want to add, married 36 years. Which,
You've been married 36 years.
One of my best successes, yes.
Goodness gracious. Congratulations on that. That is not an easy road, especially being one who lives military life. So
right.
Congratulations to you and to her, the strength that she has to pull through, because that's not an easy job right there. I'll tell you what.
No, they suffer more than we do.
Yeah, in many ways. All right, so we are here to talk about Horse Soldier Bourbon, and I went to the Class 6, and I saw they had a bunch of new signed bottles from you.
Which Class 6 was?
At the Class 6 on JBLM.
Yeah, I went by there a few days ago and signed some bottles just to help get them moving out. And then I got a signing event there signing and tasting event there next Friday as well.
Okay, awesome.
So
yeah, next time you're there, I'd love to get a heads up so I can spread the word on our social media channels.
Right.
And so we can get people down there to meet you and get a bottle personally signed, and help you get some more sales there.
Yeah, and if you have anyone in Chehalis, I'll be down in Chehalis tomorrow evening, or tomorrow afternoon from 3 to 6 at the Town Center Liquors.
Town Center Liquors in Chehalis tomorrow.
Yes.
Awesome. Sounds good. So I'm going to start off with a pour of your straight bourbon whiskey. Have you ever done a live interview before, Vince?
I have, but not really a live tasting. It was just basically, I think it was more military focused than anything.
Yeah.
So this is my first real live tasting.
Okay.
Which is always, anything on video or on air like that, it can get kind of weird sometimes, but
yeah.
So I actually got my bottles out that I'm going to use tomorrow for my tasting event. So that rye, that's our straight bourbon, right? Just it's a 3-year-old high rye. So
okay. I have not seen the rye yet.
So this is our rye bourbon. I got to.
It's a high rye bourbon.
Right.
I thought you were saying that you're coming out with a rye.
No,
like a rye.
Maybe someday, but not just yet. Once we get our distillery up and going, I think we'll have more freedom. But that's years away. But yeah, right. So that's our 3-year aged high rye bourbon. So the mash bill is about 25% rye in that one.
Okay, 25% rye.
Right. It's still pretty smooth though. I think it does not have that rye harshness that you might think it has. But that's the one that we prefer to have, like in our old fashions, our Manhattans, Boulevardiers.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see. I haven't even tried mixing them yet. I've just been drinking them straight. I dropped the link in the chat, and the way that I maintain command and control during a live interview where there's audience participation,
all right,
is we developed a thing called the revolving door of questions. So we'll have somebody jump on, get in the back room. I'll let them on and ask a question, and then kick them off.
All right.
That way you don't start talking about where they work and what they do and all that kind of nonsense. We want to keep it focused on you and focused on Horse Soldier. Oh my goodness. Hush. So bringing up that link, I'm pinning it to the top of the chat. So anybody who wants to jump on and ask a question, you are more than welcome to. And if you do jump in and ask a question, then your name will be entered into the raffle to win prizes at the end of the stream. How great is that? All right. So how many years did you serve in the Army?
Just over 32.
Jeez. It's a long time.
It goes by quickly, I will say.
Yeah. I'm going to be hitting 17 in a few months. I'm in the reserves now. I left active duty, and I'm about to hit 17 in a few months.
Yes, 17 is when I was at 17 when 9/11 hit. 2001.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
do you want to tell us a little bit about that? What was that like? You were what rank were you on 9/11?
Very surreal. So I was sergeant first class. I've been on ODA 595 since '96. Great group of guys. Some of the guys have been on that team during the first Gulf War. Like our team sergeant Paul Evans had been our team sergeant for about 3 years at this point. Had been on the team as a junior engineer back in the first Gulf War. So very experienced, mature team. We were a unconventional warfare focused team, a water team as well. So our infiltration skill set was water, and then our mission skill set was unconventional warfare. ODAs have different, there's Halo teams, your GMV teams, which is your truck teams, your Jeep teams. So for
mechanized.
Right. Yeah. There's, whatever. You got to have a variety or a diverse skill set, right?
Right.
So the commander can call on different tools in his toolbox for different mission requirements. So UW is that's the bread and butter mission for special forces. Usually 2 teams per company are focused on that, and the other teams are direct action teams, special reconnaissance teams, and so we were very fortunate to be in a training cycle at that time. We were actually on the Cumberland River. They're just south of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I just finished an all-night mission. We're coming back into the Clarksville Fairgrounds there when we found out about the first plane hitting the tower at about 7:46. So this is probably about 8 o'clock when we got the first call. And of course, as we all know, the whole world changed at that point.
Huge turning point for everything we knew to be true.
A very memorable moment, I think, for most people that were alive at that time and were old enough to remember, right? And so it was. From that day, it was very much mission focused and purpose. 9/11, for everything that happened there, I think 9/12 is a day that we should celebrate. Yeah, that's the day we all came together as Americans. There weren't any
like American Unity Day or something.
Yeah, exactly, because it was we always think about those first responders and how unselfish they were and getting after it and saving lives. And those guys are our heroes. I always talk about Gary Box and a guy named Steve Siller, who were on that engine that got stuck at the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. And they ran the 2.5 miles with their full kit on to the World Trade Center site. And like Gary Box, there's a famous picture of him snapped by a Danish tourist, actually. But that was the last picture of him ever taken. He was never seen again. His body was never recovered. So those guys are our heroes, and that's what we took down range with us. First and foremost on our mind was exacting vengeance and paying back Americans that had suffered through that, right? Yeah. And make sure that it does not happen again, having that sanctuary where Al Qaeda can freely plan attacks against us. But as you know, everything's cyclical, right? Everything comes back to one. But so We were very fortunate. Like I said, we were back at Campbell. We're in a training cycle, so usually there's 1/3 of the group is deployed, 1/3 is in training, and 1/3 is doing other taskings. Right, so very fortunate to be back. Our team was
The red green cycle.
right, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Back
This
when
is
it
the
was,
picture we were talking about, right?
that is the picture right there, Gary Box. Yeah,
Yeah.
running that 2.4 miles in that kit. So
That was crazy.
it is. It's and something that we always keep in our memory about those who sacrificed and how good we have it right now, and appreciate that. So September 14th is when we actually got notified that we'd be one of the first 2 teams into Uzbekistan. Kashikanabad became the special forces base for the North, or pretty much for all of Afghanistan. Pakistan was probably not the best place to be, I would say. So Uzbekistan became the our basing, our ally, and our team had been there before the summer prior, doing a what's called a JSET, a joint combined exchange training with them. So we were somewhat familiar with the area and their customs and courtesies, all that.
Well, before we get to the next part, when I met you, I let you know that I have this. This is the first bottle of the barrel strength that I ever got,
Right.
and I had set this aside on my bar. I only take a shot of it when I'm raising a glass to the fallen. And so before we move on to talk about more of that, before we leave the 9/11 topic, I want to raise a glass. If you don't mind.
You pour some barrel strength here.
Because that's the only time I pull out of that bottle. Luckily, I had a good friend of mine who saw another bottle of the barrel strength signed and said, "Hey, do you want one of these?" And it was like a week before I met you, and I was like, "Of course I want one. Are you kidding me?" And then so she got it, and she hadn't gotten it to me yet. And then when I met you, I got you to sign that one, and I was like, "Yes, now I have one that I can drink when I'm not cheersing to the fallen." So to all of those that we have lost, who stood up for something bigger than them and died so we could be here today, lest we forget.
Amen.
Cheers. Awesome. The way that you started the story, that you were on a training mission in the river in Kentucky, I was just like, dude, I'm having a total visual because that's the way the movie started.
Yeah, they had the movie's funny because it's filmed in New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So you see Michael Shannon just walking in the river.
Yeah.
Of course, the Cumberland River is not something that you're going to be walking in. And we were on our Zodiac boats, so we use a lot
because the gallons per minute, the rate way too fast. You don't want to be walking in that, right?
It's deep. It's got a strong current. You got barges going by. It's not a river. It's not a rock bottom, flat rock bottom river like the ones you saw in the movie. It's more of a very muddy, steep. So it gets deep very quickly.
Yeah.
Good current flowing through. And that night we actually had to, for safety reasons, we basically huddled up on the side of the river because there was quite a bit of barge traffic. And some of that river can get pretty narrow. So just out of safety's concern, it's training. We basically tied up to the shore or against an embankment and just huddled up and hunkered down for the night or the remaining few hours until daylight, and then we hit it again. But it was kind of a unseasonably cool night. A lot of fog, very thick fog, and people were piling life preservers up to as blankets. It was pretty funny. Those boats have aluminum floors in them that you put in them, so they conduct the chill from the river very well.
Heat and cold equally.
Yeah, we're just in BDUs, right? So September, you're not thinking it's going to be that cold, but one of those things. But
right.
It was. What's cool is, so our story starts on the Cumberland River that morning. Our distillery is being built on the Cumberland River as we speak. And I think that's a very cool bookend or wrap around on our story. that hopefully in 2025 that will be operational and we'll be able to dedicate that. But we're very fortunate to find out that plot of land there in Kentucky, in Somerset, overlooking that river, that same river. So yes. So State Department, they had to go through all their bureaucratic hurdles to get us into Karshikhanabad, and we had actually packed up and unpacked 3 times because we were basically told that we were going twice before we actually left, saying goodbye to our wives and family, only to go back to our team room and have to call our wives back. And I'll tell you, saying goodbye to your family 3 times is very traumatic on the families.
Yeah.
By that 3rd time, they just wanted us gone and don't call again until you're done.
Quit dragging it out.
Right.
Yeah.
So because we packed and then we wanted to unpack and do live fire training, just stay fresh, right?
Right.
Keep that knife edge sharp. And so October 4th was when we actually got the word that we were on the plane and the plane actually left. And it was, we stopped, I think 4 or 5 times. We stopped in up in Maine, Ireland, Spain, Italy, Turkey, and we finally made it into Karshikhanabad. I think we're the fifth plane to land. Yeah, that evening, and it was all the pilot didn't want to slow down too much. He basically came to a short halt. They rolled the pellets off onto the cement, onto that tarmac, and then they just departed to get out of Dodge as quickly as stay off the X, right?
Yeah.
And so it was for us it was pretty. And we had just been there a year before, so we didn't see what the big deal was. We actually met some of the guys that we trained there at the airfield. So
are you talking about Uzbekistan?
Uzbekistan, yes.
Yeah.
So that was the staging area. 10th Mountain was coming in after us, and then our team started setting up the Special Forces compound, stringing concertina wire, putting tents together, the RFABs, putting cots together, all that mundane crap you got to do to build a camp, right? And the mission that we were initially scheduled to be on was basically canceled. So at that point, we were a team without a mission, and hoping to get one. And all the while, our intel guy was giving us daily briefings in the morning. The different personalities. Dostum was mentioned. Dostum was actually mentioned favorably because he was very secular and pro-Western, or at least that's what the analysts thought he was. So we viewed that as probably the best mission of these different warlords. Fahim Khan, who replaced Shah Massoud, he was a Tajik, more hardline Islamic,
right?
Not in the Taliban vein, but still. And then you had the Hazaras, who were smaller players, but they're Shiites, so they're not viewed very with much, reliability in Afghanistan. So, and it wasn't until October 15th that we actually got that mission, and it was basically like I talk about that as like a Shark Tank type environment where the commander might issue several teams the same mission, and you're all sequestered apart, you're isolated, and you might have some different guidance given to you, but then you have to put a plan together, right?
Right.
And then you got to brief that to the commander, all these ornery old cranky sergeant majors and the staff guys.
Yeah.
And you have to, and warrant officers are they're devils for details, right? And they will sharpshoot your mission all day long. So
if you find the warrant officer, if he's not hiding with the coffee, then he's all about that, those attention to details.
Yes. Warrant officers, I had a good friend of mine who's a current colonel, but he likened warrant officers to Michael Jordan. They're you only hope to contain them, you can't control them, right? So but these are all senior W4s, very experienced Green Berets,
Yeah.
and Colonel Mulholland himself. So he was very happy with our mission brief and what we had come up with, and especially our ability to break down into teams of 3, even in the planning stages.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we won most of our fight for that mission right there. And I think our team was very mature. Like I said, I had 17 years in the Army, and that was
Right.
about the median experience level
Oh,
on that
really?
ODA. So
Okay. That's
average age,
yeah, that's a very senior heavy
right?
experienced team. Yeah.
Yeah, your DA teams tend to be a little younger. Special forces overall is older than your Rangers are your 21-year-olds,
Yeah.
very young kids that want to go kicking doors, canoe in faces, all that cool stuff, right? And,
Yeah.
so Green Berets tend to be a little older, a little more mature, have a language capability, a cultural understanding. So we're not getting into trouble at all downrange. So, or at least try not to. But
Yeah.
so I think that was all that won us quite a bit of favors with the command staff. And so October 15th, there's some weather delays, but the night of October 19th, I remember the day prior, our agency guy downrange, CIA ground branch guy, had written back a request for, he wanted 4 items. He wanted $3 million. So that was one kit bag. He wanted a whole bunch of horse feed. That was several
Okay.
kit bags.
Yeah.
Some vodka. That's for your rapport building, right? Along with that money,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of condoms, which kind of threw us back and made us wonder. This is all the ingredients of a very sick.
You want vodka and condoms?
Vodka,
Yeah.
condoms, horse feed, a whole bunch of money, right? You have all the
Yeah.
ingredients for a very cool party or a very sick party,
A
right?
very terrible party. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, the condoms ended up being some kind of a joke, but they all got used. It's just probably not in the way that most people would think they got used, and it's all for us, it was something that broke up the anxiety, because you can imagine that MH-47 sitting out there waiting for you to get on. You get these weather delays. It's kind of hard to wind down.
Yeah.
Someone had found a DVD of Spies Like Us. So that was like our last bit of cultural training prior to going in, was watching Spies Like Us.
Oh, really?
So we were all doctors, right?
Yeah.
And Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, classic movie.
Yeah. When you said morale building, I thought of Spy Game, where he said, when you're going somewhere, have cigarettes and bubble gum.
Yeah.
So you have something. If it's a kid, give him a stick of gum. If it's a guy, like a guard or something, give him a cigarette.
But Uzbeks, I see Uzbeks as our redneck brothers from another mother. They're they like to drink, shoot guns, and ride horses fast. So we fit in them very well. Fit in with them very well, and vice versa. When we landed, they came out, helped. They carried the horse feed, the heavier bags. It was like the Ewoks coming out of the dust, because they're all. The thing that struck us was how short they were in stature.
Yeah.
These are guys living deep in those Hindu Kush mountains, so they tend to be a little shorter in stature than Europeans, right?
Yes.
But they were all gung ho. They were all happy to see us. We went into our first compound called the Alamo, so we nicknamed it.
Yeah.
And that became our initial safe house. That was about 2:00 in the morning on October 20th. And then we met Dostum about 8:00 that morning, 7:30, 8:00 that morning, when he rode up in his initial group. About 20 scouts showed up, and then he came about 10 minutes later with about 30 other horse. And at that time, he had about 750 to 1,000 horse in that little pocket in the Hindu Kush there that he was able to hide out in. And the Taliban were very I would say scared to go into the mountains, because every time they went in there, they got their butts kicked. because they could not really operate in that terrain with all the mountains. So the horses were able to maneuver around them, up above them, and basically fire down on them. So horses were very much a mission essential thing for us.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it was what made the difference for us, as far, like I said, maneuvering around on top of the Taliban, as they were restricted, as they were in trucks, tanks, and even on foot, right?
Yeah.
And
hold on, Vince. When you look at your screen, do you see to the right side it says comments? It should say private chat, and it should say other comments. If you click on that, you'll see all the people watching us live.
all right, got it. Yeah.
And so I'm gonna pause your story real quick because I've got
Perfect.
a few people in the backstage wanting to
Okay.
join in. Charred and Twisted. Thanks for joining us.
All right. How you doing, Charred and
Hi.
Twisted?
Hey,
Hey.
Mark, before we get going, man, this has been amazing.
I agree. It's been a
just-
blast.
We've just been sitting here taken back listening to Sergeant Major talk about this stuff, because it's all stuff as an Army guy that we've heard about, we've read about, and then just, dude, amazing. So thank you, and this great stuff. Great stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, we see ourselves as very fortunate to have been a part of that.
Yeah. Well, and the bourbon you make is amazing as well.
Mhm.
So win-win.
Yeah. I would not be here if that was not good bourbon, but I love it. I love the flavor profile. It's our flavor profile, right? And I'm pretty excited for our future as we move to our 10-year mark and have our own distillery up and running. And right now we're sharing space in a small craft distillery in Columbus, Ohio, where we started off, and then also in Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Mark Irwin, who's the CEO of Bardstown Bourbon Company, is a former CAG guy. So he's a retired colonel and commanded at the troop and squadron level in Delta Force. So he's letting us come in there, share space. They have a very state-of-the-art distillery. And they do some amazing stuff. So we're sharing space and basically couch surfing right now. Just trying to make as many barrels as we can. Right now we have about 25,000 barrels aging
Oh, wow.
between Columbus and Bardstown.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we like to make cocktails. My wife does, and so as Charred and Twisted, that's part of our service. And she has a cocktail she wants to make with your bourbon. So.
All right.
So we're going to make a bourbon lemonade. It's kind of a pretty common drink, but I think it's a good one, especially for people who may be new to bourbon, or like it's a nice summer drink, right? So
exactly.
we have 4 ounces of fresh homemade lemonade. So we're going to add that to our shaker.
Lemonade.
Lemonade, yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
Really?
Keep going.
This is 3 ingredients, Mark.
It's
so
a
just
3-ingredient drink. So
I'm
it's
intrigued.
to make
Yeah.
it.
I'm intrigued.
It's a nice one. And then we're using the small batch.
Okay.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
we're going to do 2 ounces of the small batch. And then we're going to give that a quick shake. Just to chill and dilute. Then we're going to strain over some fresh ice into a rocks glass. And then I made some homemade strawberry simple syrup that we're going to add to this.
Ooh.
A nice fresh summer flavor. It's also going to make it pretty. And then we'll garnish with some lemon and a fresh mint sprig, just to add some aromatics. So, and there we have it.
Nice.
Strawberry bourbon lemonade.
Yes.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
With
I like that syrup.
And this small batch, I'm just going to drink it straight, because you can sip this or you can drink it in a cocktail. Either way, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very easy sipping bourbon, right?
It really is. Yes.
And my favorite, of course, is the barrel proof.
Uh-huh.
I think once I built up a palate for that, the flavors came through, and it's hard to beat. It's hard to go back down to that small batch, but especially in the wintertime around a cold fire or a hot fire on a cold night, that barrel proof is perfect.
My favorite, honestly, is the barrel proof. But honestly, the small batch at the price point, it's hard to beat. It's really good. You can sip it, you can mix it. You're not going to be disappointed.
Right.
I do have Mark. Do I have time to give a question?
You absolutely have time for a question, Will. So anybody that jumps on and asks a question, you'll be entered in on my wheel of names over here for the raffle. I'm going to be giving away sample flights of all the Horse Soldier offerings that I have. I'm going to be giving away 2 flights. And Vince is throwing up some Horse Soldier etched rocks glasses.
Ooh,
Rocks glasses.
And so fire away. What do you got?
So my question is transitioning, from the military world, from the Army world into bourbon. Did you have any kind of, was there a distiller or somebody that you patterned yourself after, or some kind of somebody that mentored you? How did that happen?
So Weller's Maker's Mark. That's what we were kind of shooting for, right? With our flavor profile. But we had to come up with our own flavor profile, working with a master distiller and a master taster. But before that, it was a just curiosity and discovery, getting educated. 4 of the guys actually went to, so we spent a lot of time in craft distilleries in the U.S. 4 of the guys went and spent a month in Balmore or in Scotland in different distilleries. They spent a month in Ireland at different distilleries, doing everything from sweeping floors to the working the malt, the milling, the mashing, all that, all the way through to barreling. They went to a cooperage in Lebanon, Missouri, and made barrels. Like our trees are mostly 80-year-old oak trees out of the Lebanon Ozarks. They're in Missouri.
Oh goodness, yeah.
But for us, it was, we had a business mentor, a guy named John Coco, who's our co-founder, and Mark Ducci was our captain. Bob Pennington was our warrant officer. Bob Pennington has a great palate. We owe most of our flavor profile to him, working with our own master distiller, Henry, and just figuring out what our mash bill would be. We had some old world yeast that we brought back from Scotland that we had cultivated into 2 strains, one for our rye mash bill and then one for our wheated mash bill, as is our small batches, our wheated mash bill. So once we got that, we found some space in Columbus, Ohio. No one in Kentucky would even really, for the price, it was just too much for the price. We spent some time with Maker's Mark. We use actually the same wheat that they use. It's a red winter wheat out of Wyoming and Montana. So all non-GMO source grains. So this place in Columbus, Ohio is called Middle West Spirits. And they had a small craft distillery. They let us go in there. And basically just once we found our mash bill, we just started making as many barrels as we could. Like I said, now we're up to about 25,000 barrels. Wow. And which is crazy because our new distillery that we're opening up in 2025 will have the capacity to make 100,000 barrels per year.
Oh, nice.
So, so we've had to start small and be very careful with our production because you don't want to outrun your supply, right?
Right.
If you grow too fast, too soon, you end up with no barrels, and then you're stuck trying to find or trying to buy barrels that somewhat match your flavor profile that you can put together to have that consistent flavor, right? So, we're only in 19 states. We just started in 11 more states, in small steps, baby steps right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's basically our journey from 2015 until now.
Well, that sounds like the team did a lot of research and a lot of legwork before getting things rolling by going and visiting a bunch of different places.
Right.
That's
we don't want
awesome.
to start off just sourcing right away. We wanted to have our
No.
own,
No.
our own hands in the product. Like our yeast is a proprietary yeast. We own it. That's very
Right.
important to us. And then, like I said, our flavor. Yeah, I've tasted a lot of bourbon, and I always come back to like I said, our small batch as just an easy sipping whiskey, and our barrel proof. Even our rye bourbon. I'm not really our straight bourbon. I'm not a big rye bourbon guy. I like the Wellers and all the Weeders, but
Yeah,
even our rye, I think, is a very easy sipping rye.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, does that pretty much answer your question there?
Absolutely, and I'm not going to blow it. Somebody asked about this label because there's a great story behind that. We've been sipping you for a while, so thank you so much. You guys are doing amazing, and we're enjoying your stuff. So we will continue to do so.
Cheers.
Appreciate that.
All right, thanks, Will and Stacy. Charred and Twisted. Thanks for being here.
Cheers, guys.
Talk to you guys soon. The other two people that were here next are not on the screen, but William Hall is on screen.
All right. William
What's
Hall.
up, Will?
Good evening.
Good to see you, buddy.
First off, first and last drink for me for the night because it's 12:30 here.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
You're on the East Coast.
Thank you for your service, and
Thank you.
congratulations on 36 years of marriage. That's wow.
Yeah, not easy. I'll tell you that.
I'm only pushing 12, and it's been tough. My question is, I know you guys spent some time overseas. Concerning the distilling process, what are your key takeaways from Ireland and Scotland?
Everything matters as far as what you put into your barrels and into the process, especially with the Scots. They are very fastidious, very OCD on their water, their grain or their barley, the malt, their temperatures, where the Irish, they'll suck water out of a puddle, and so the Irish are a lot more, they're less of control freaks, I would say. But for us, we had the guys on the team had made beer. We all had sampled beer after ranges, and we see bourbon as beer's older brother, right? But we honestly didn't know that much about distilling, other than being book smart maybe on it. But so it was just a matter of seeing it with our own eyes and hands on. And for the guys in 2015, quality going in, like from our water to all our grains being human grade, and sourcing bee pollinated corn versus the aerial pollination. And then getting our liquid yeast cultivated. So all that, our barrels are barrel staves. We use only white oak out of the Ozarks. It is a Charred 4. We wanted the Charred 4 because it imparts a lot more of the sweetness, and it filters out a lot more of that harshness, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, everything that you can think of as far as the ground that your grain is grown into, the ground that your trees, the environment they're exposed to has a stake in your flavor.
I really like that summary that you gave up front, is that everything matters. I was on a like whiskey focused live stream a couple days ago. They were talking about, how much the wood matters in the barrels, or how much the mash bill matters, or what type of yeast you use matters, or where the water's coming from, how much that matters, stuff like that. And I like how you were just like, everything matters. Yeah. It was great. I love it.
Well, thank you very much. And I look forward to coming down and seeing you in 2025. I'm only a few hours north of you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. William's in Indiana, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, thanks, Will. Your name is on the wheel. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah. So we've got a bunch of people in the chat, Vince. We got Ben Demon Hunter from Canada.
Okay.
We got William Reynolds, Vietnam vet, good dude. Brian Slapshot, former police officer. Mark Emmenecker, thanks for being here. The Samoan Barkeep stopped by, and so did Jerry Black. He's a Desert Storm vet. Scotch Down Under. He's watching from Australia.
All right, I like
got,
that.
Dude, we got some great people in the chat. Speaking of great people in the chat, Troy Man's in the house.
No, yeah, I think you meant to bring on the other guy.
How you doing, Troy?
What's up, Troy?
Good. How are you, Vince? How are you, Mark?
Good to see you, buddy.
Good.
Drinking bourbon.
Same here. I'm drinking Larceny Barrel Proof.
All right.
C922. It's the one I hadn't had very much of yet. So I don't know. Weeders are one of my things, and it's like I have to be in the right mood for a weeder. So it's not too often I drink them. That's why I started with the Buffalo Trace tonight. But so I always have to ask this question of some people that I meet. It's like when you first get into whiskey, oftentimes people have like this aha moment with some particular whiskey that they've never had before, and they just drink it and this light goes on in their head and just says, this is amazing. This is what I want to do for a living, or this is what I want to get into for a living. For me, it was Old Forester from 1920. I had that about 4 years ago and just blew my mind with its complexity, its proof, its balance. It was just a perfect whiskey for somebody who came up drinking like Jack Daniels and, the basic crap. So that's my first question is, what was your like aha moment whiskey, or what was the first whiskey that really got you into the whole craft?
The first whiskey was for us. It was Scotch.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I love the Highlands, the Dalwhinnie, and the Aberlour, the Space Side. Aberlour 12 is one of my favorite Scotches. Dalwhinnie 15. I always have that on hand. And then just understanding why the different Scotches, where they come from and why they are the way they are, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the Irish whiskeys or the Canadian whiskeys.
Yeah.
Sorry, the
mud water or puddle water.
Yeah. I mean, it's our tastes change over the years. And I'll say my palate's definitely changed. Younger, rye I could take. I liked the spiciness, but now as I get older, the wheated bourbons definitely. Jack Daniels, those bourbons, those Tennessee whiskeys kind of turned me off to a lot of the American whiskeys, the Dickells, George Dickells. And to their testament, they're all cheaper. They're much cheaper, right? And mass produced. And I don't know much about how they're, where they're sourcing their grains from, all that, and what goes into them. So, but bourbon is one of those things where you have to research what goes into that bottle and the process. And for us, as we learn everything there is to know about making whiskey, distilling, it just opened a lot of our eyes. I love the barrel. I've studied quite a bit on just the barrel and what that imparts and what that does to the liquid, right? Because it's 67% of all your flavor or more sometimes can come from that barrel. So I like Sagamore. Sagamore has a rye, Sagamore rye double oaked. I love that double oaked. I hope one day that we have our own double oaked or finished in the double. I got a bottle on my back shelf there too. So and then your tawny port finished bourbons.
Oh yeah.
Any kind of the finished bourbons, I'm a big fan of, usually for the most part, depending on how long they've stayed in that. But those can impart some great flavors as well. Yeah. And then Weller 107, that blew my mind. The Antique 107.
Yep.
That's
one of my favorites as well.
That was a cherry bomb going off in your mouth, right?
Yeah. So I know. I was lucky enough. It's so hard to find over here in Washington State. Right, so when I found my bottle in Oregon, but I found my bottle and I just cherished that thing because it was a flavor explosion in your mouth. It's just one of those things that you're not quite ready for. Right. And you see why it's so coveted now. It's just because that flavor profile is so unique. That's one thing I like about it. Last question for you. I know you've got plans to move bigger production up to, you said 100,000 barrels possibly. What about experimentation? You were talking about tawny, port finished, any kind of finished whiskeys you got planned coming. And then I don't want to have you spill the beans too much. You ever planning on doing a Scotch? You don't have to say yes or no. Just give me the wink or nod.
On the American single malt.
No, an actual Scotch.
Well, you can't. Yeah, legally we can't make Scotch here, but we can. We can make what's called the single malt or malted.
Yeah.
I like there are some great American and the Pacific Northwest seems to be a good base for a lot of the single malts coming out.
Yep. Yeah.
We
have a lot of single malts up here.
At the Westward, the Westward guys and
Westward,
Oregon.
Westland, Copperworks.
Yeah. So
who was it? Nightside in Edgewood just came out with a single malt.
Okay.
There's a few of them up here.
Yeah. So that's definitely a growing
market
for sure. So
yeah,
we don't know. Once you have your own distillery, it kind of opens the doors for a lot of different things, right? So
yeah.
Very much looking forward to that aspect. And even then, you're looking at we start distilling in 2025. It's 3 years before we get our first barrels out from that, as far as our straight bourbon, and then 6+ years after that for our wheated bourbons and any other of our new whiskeys. So it is a marathon for sure, not a sprint. It's a long game.
Exactly. Well, I look forward to drinking one of your bottles you're going to be putting in barrel here in a couple of years for my retirement party. So
all right,
it should be coming up in about 2050. So
2050. I think we'll be set by then.
I hope so. Yeah, that's going to be a good time. All right. Well, cheers. Thanks so much, Vince.
All right. Thanks, Troy.
Yep.
Nice. Appreciate you, Troy. I added you to the wheel of names, buddy. And just wanted to share this cool picture of you real quick. Dun, 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 dun. Where is it? Tell me about when you got to see this, because that must have been freaking awesome. So this is at the site for the 9/11 memorial, the life-size horse soldier statue, where you see Vince in the middle left there, along with 6 out of the 12 guys from that mission.
Right,
dude.
So that's a very cool picture. I think that was when we were up in New York for the 2018, when we went up there for the premiere of the movie 12 Strong.
Yeah.
The studio flew us out and put us up in very nice hotels, and we got the red carpet treatment. Very nice experience for the families. But cool thing about that statue was in 2016, just a few months after I retired, we got invited to go back up there. And that was the actual dedication of that monument. It's the only monument at Ground Zero dedicated to the 90 Green Berets that helped overthrow Afghanistan in those early days. And the Horse Soldier is very iconic. It was a very unique mission.
Yeah.
And we were just fortunate that we were with an aggressive warlord, General Dostum, and within hours of us landing on the ground, we were conducting offensive operations, trying to marry up this 21st century technology with horse cavalry, right? I liken it to the Jetsons meet the Flintstones to battle out the orcs, and so it was very unique. It was very cool getting those tactics and those techniques down right. But But the Horse Soldier statue, during that dedication ceremony in 2016, a lot of Port Authority guys were there, a lot of FDNY, NYPD, the guys that we consider heroes. They paid us quite a tribute, helping us dedicate that monument. But they also gave us a sizable chunk of I-beam from the World Trade Center towers, right?
Right.
So some of that went down to St. Pete, Florida, where we're headquartered currently, and went into a memorial called the Rise Memorial there. But in 2017, we were looking at making our first bottle molds. But you got to have bottle molds first.
Right.
And we wanted our own bottles. We don't want to buy bottles out of
You didn't want to be buying, blank bottles from somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So bottle molds are very expensive, about 50 grand a piece, but we had the steel, and bottle mold steel and this steel called A242 steel are the same. So we got
Okay.
permission from the Port Authority to use this steel in our bottle molds, and that's what makes, I think, our bottles special and unique, and it ties it back to our story starts on 9/11, is that our bottles are actually molded or forged in World Trade Center steel. And you see on the label there, it says forged in fire.
Yes.
And a lot of guys think it's the metal, the tin label,
Yeah.
but it's the bottle itself that's forged in World Trade Center steel. So it's the bottle molds. It's a very unique process. Everything gets heated up. It's red hot, and so it's imparting that World Trade Center kiss onto our bottles.
Where is that?
Yeah, we have a video on our
Yeah,
our YouTube
there's
page.
a video on the YouTube channel that shows that process of how they designed their own custom, distinct individual bottle to where their bottle looks like nobody else's bottle. And the mold got made out of one of the I-beams from one of the Twin Towers. And so every single bottle, like it says on the bottle, is forged in fire. Super cool. Super cool.
Yeah, we have about 18 molds, or 18 bottle molds currently from that steel. So it's very, it's pays tribute, and we always keep that in our memory of where we started, and appreciate the sacrifices, because we are the lucky ones, for sure.
Did you? I mean, could they just donate it to you? Was there some kind of special permission thing that had to happen for you to have a piece of that I-beam?
It was just the Port Authority. They have custody over all I-beam or all overall World Trade Center steel.
Yeah,
we actually took some downrange with us, and so there's World Trade Center steel buried in various places in Afghanistan. I've got a small chunk here, fashioned in the shape of our Special Forces patch. It's pretty cool. And I think that the Port Authority, we have a very tight bond with them.
I think they highlighted that in the movie, didn't they? That your team leader got given a piece of the steel, took it over there, and then at the end he buried it. Man, dude, I didn't know the movie was that accurate. I thought there was a lot more Hollywood nonsense going on.
Yeah, I think they, one thing the movie I think gets horribly wrong is our team sergeant.
Okay.
You don't even see him or don't even know who he is, but a team sergeant, he's the team daddy. That's
right. He's the NCOIC, the non-commissioned officer in charge of all the troops. So the movie really focuses on the warrant officer and the captain.
Right. So they diminished him. I think they diminished some of the strides or some of the efforts of the Northern Alliance, because that is their fight, right? And Green Berets back in '62, when John Kennedy awarded us the Green Berets as a symbol of excellence, his idea of Green Berets going overseas was to help our allies die for their country versus us doing it for them.
Right.
I think that was Northern Afghanistan had everything, had all the ingredients for that unconventional warfare campaign.
Yeah.
Where 12 guys go in. Like I said, on day one, we had about 750 horse. By November 5th, we had about 4,500 troops in various commands.
Yeah.
So coordinating and deconflicting battlefield movements for them was a pain in the butt. And then we had the Hazaras and the Tajiks on our flanks. And then keeping all those guys separated and not shooting at each other, which they're prone to do because they're definitely tribal rivals, ethnic rivals. So I think that was one of our biggest successes. But the battle, on the ground at the tactical level is being waged by those Northern Alliance guys, and we lost quite a few of them in those few weeks. There was a dozen or so battles from where we infilled at to Mazar Sharif, and everyone was a gunfight. So the movie kind of, it's a 2-hour movie. It cannot even begin to show the vistas that we saw.
Yeah.
And watching that many horse maneuver ridgeline to ridgeline, using your assaulters and reserve elements was a very amazing thing to witness that I'll never forget.
I agree. They'd have to kick it up to like a Oliver Stone or Kevin Costner movie where it's like 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
All right, so I lost 2 of the guys that were in the background. So if both of you guys are still watching, please jump back on. I got Toast Malone in the house, though. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, gentlemen?
How you doing, Toast?
Good to see you, Sean.
Very nice to meet you, sir.
Likewise. Thank you for hanging out.
So I just want to tell you, man, as a young man, I'm 36 years old. 9/11 happened while I was in high school still. And I will never forget sitting around a TV as much of America was that day.
Right.
Watching. And what came out of that, as evil and as horrible as it was so fantastic to watch all America come together and be uniform.
Yeah.
Even for that small amount of time, because fast forward to today, everything's so divisive right now with everything that's going on, brother. I just want to say thank you for being the first couple pairs of boots on the ground there, and what you guys gave up to let us live this crazy life here in America, man. Thank you very much, Vince.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate that for sure.
I gotta raise your glass. Hold on. Hey, Sean, did you have any? If you have another question, you can ask it. But I want to just cheers that. I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Vince, me kind of like Troy. I love the cast strength. I'm loving the small batch.
Mm-hmm.
We're itching for a double oak product or a finished product. You know what I mean? Come on, brother.
Oh yeah.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, finish in a toasted barrel, finish in just another barrel like a double barrel, or finish in a sherry cask Armagnac.
Yeah.
Like when you guys are planning on having your own playground in a few years, you got some of that in the works?
Yep. I mean, we have, I think we have big imaginations, and we're all very, very curious about the whole process, and we want to have some, skunk works, and we have our own Commander Select as well. So we have a Commander Select bottle, which is not our juice. It is a where our warrant officer and captain go out different distilleries and find different barrels, and then they buy those barrels. But that's where we have our. I don't know if it's not here in Washington, but it's out and about. But it's called the Commander Select.
I've never seen that.
It is the price on it is $595.
Okay.
The last one we did was a 15-year bourbon. It is phenomenal. Ooh. It's phenomenal. I'll take that over Antique 107 any day.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
it is very expensive. It's very expensive.
I've been longing to try that ever since I heard of it, man.
My mouth waters just thinking about that. I've had it a few times. We've had some of our fans who have bought bottles and then toasted to us and emptied the bottles, drinking with us. But that's a once a year, about 1,200 bottles. But all of that money funds our in-house charity programs. And Tunnel to Towers is another one, and then Folds of Honor is another one of our big charities that we push with auctioning. So some of our bottles,
Folds of Honor,
and Tunnel to Towers, which is the New York charity that helps.
I'm sorry, Vince. Tunnels what?
Tunnel to Towers.
Tunnel to Tower.
Yeah. towers. So yeah, tunnel is singular and tunnels is plural.
Right,
So
right.
that helps those first responders, because those guys are still suffering right from those respiratory diseases.
Yep.
And their families. Money doesn't go as far as it did back in 2001, of course. So helping offset some of that inflation, and as life comes up, there's different needs for funds, right?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
All right, hey Sean, thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate you.
Vince, I
Thank
want
you,
to
Sean.
raise my last little bit to a true American man that bleeds red, white, and blue like you, sir.
I
Thank
appreciate that.
Appreciate you,
Thank
buddy. Oh my goodness. So Chris is here in the chat. Chris is the one that organized that get together at the Lady of the Lake.
All right, yeah, Chris, yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you're here, Chris. Appreciate you being here. And Indpndt Joe is in the house.
Cheers, brothers.
How you
Hey,
doing,
thanks
Joe?
for being here, man.
Hells yeah, man.
Vince Joe here is a career Marine.
All right.
He definitely put in his time with his boots strapped up, and he's become a really good friend of ours over here over the last couple of years since we created this little hobby we got going on.
Right.
And so, just Joe, thanks for being here. What you got, man?
Yeah, brother. So happy to hear what you said about the Commanders series and how they're sourced, because I thought I was crazy. I was like, wow, they taste so much like certain distillery. I don't know if you guys are able to say where you're sourced from, but I was like, this has got to be. That was one of my questions, is like, how long have you been sourcing from this distillery? And what it tastes like to me, and I don't know if you're allowed to verify or anything, but what it tastes like to me is Heaven Hill, some of their upper echelon type barrels, and man, it is so good. This by the way is Commander Select 3. I haven't seen Commander Select 5. But this actually came in, I think, first or second in 2 years ago when I did my top whiskeys of the year, and I also have some of your guys' single barrels that you guys have, as well as the small batches and stuff like that, which are really good as well. Some people stole my question, so I was trying to figure out another question to ask.
Did you know about the bottle mold made out of the
yes,
I-beams from the towers?
Yes.
You knew
Yes,
about that?
definitely knew about that. Definitely appreciate the sentiment behind it, and in a lot of these whiskeys that I put out. And I mean, I think you answered already. You said, because somebody asked, what do you drink outside of? What are your favorites outside of your own distillery?
Right.
I
like I'm really looking for a Bardstown, their new Origin series, Bottom and Bond. So far all they've done is collaborations and blends.
They did a Foursquare recently. I just recently got that one too. I try to keep up to date on a lot of different whiskeys that I put out. I wish I would. You said this was a 13-year. Yours is your 5 is a
the 4.
15 year?
So this is the 4 right here.
Oh, 4. Okay.
So it's the same juice as the 3. It's aged. It's aged 2 years longer though.
Okay.
So, and it's proofed at 100. I'm not sure what the 3 is proofed at. I think it's proofed higher. The Commander Select 3.
The one I have is 132.4.
Yeah. So definitely proofed higher. Where this was proofed
so
at
out of all
100.
I guess my question would be, out of all the Commander series, what would be your favorite?
My favorite's the 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's the most recent.
Well, yeah, and I've had more of it than I have had the 3.
Okay.
3 is very high. That 132, which it's still very smooth at that proof point, right?
Oh yeah. I'm drinking that now. That's what I was trying to get on earlier so I could toast with you guys when you guys were toasting, but
I've got I've got a couple bottles here, but one's destined for an auction here. Once it gets signed up to help out some veterans.
Okay.
But they're very hard not to dig into and start tasting on them because, like I said, they're very tasty. For a 15-year-old bourbon, it is phenomenal.
Yes. I'm sorry. What did you say the proof was on that one?
It's 100.
Okay. That's a pretty big drop from 132.
Yeah. So it's just proof down to 100. But I think so. In 2022, all three of our expressions went up World of Spirits in San Francisco. They all won double gold to include our Commander Select 4. So I think that, and they even told us that's the first time in their history that any one distillery has accomplished that feat to have all their expressions win double gold. So I think that helps us validate our own flavor profile and our mash bill and our efforts, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I wish that was our juice in the Commander Select. But
so out of the small batches and some of your single barrels, which do you prefer out of those ones aside from what's sourced?
I like our barrel, just our barrel proof in the 120 region, 118, 120. There's a proof point at 124.6, which is my favorite.
I got 123.4 on this single barrel right here.
Right.
This I was actually driving back from a charity event in Oklahoma, and just stopped by a random store in the middle of nowhere, and it was like the smallest store you could just stop at. And I was like, I don't know, I want to stop there, and this is where I picked this one up, the single barrel, and it's signed. I don't know by who. I don't think it was by you, but
probably Will Summers. That is, looks like Mark Nooch. So Mark Nooch is he was the team leader. So the guy that Chris Hemsworth played.
Okay.
He's the captain.
Well, that's good to know. I was like, man, whose signature is that?
Yeah, it's Mark.
No, that's awesome.
Oh, cool. So
it's kind of weird how you and very random, right? How you go in some places and find a signed bottle.
And it was so random. It was the only signed bottle, and I mean, it was the only signed bottle in the store. And I was like,
right,
okay, I like whiskey a little bit, so I try to collect certain bottles.
Right,
certain bottles that just hit me, and it says buy that bottle right now, and I was
there's a little spotlight with angel sounds.
Like, they also had a Commander Select 3 in there, and I was like, well, I already have one, so I was like, I don't know if I can verify, actually spend much more money.
But
it's good though. If you see those Commander Selects out there, anybody, man, these are crazy good.
And if you can get them signed, I mean, they go like the Commander's 4 at auction in New York went for $72,000.
Wow,
goodness gracious,
nice.
That was signed, I think, by 6 of us. And that was a charity auction.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, so there are some bottles out there signed by 10 of us. Very rare.
Wow.
10 of the Horse Soldier. So we lost one in Ramadi, Iraq in 2003 during a raid, but there's 11 of us still alive and out there. So, but we're all spread out. Life is
that's
taken
amazing.
Over. But
hey, Joe, appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Thank you, Joe.
Cheers to you both. Cheers to everybody in chat. Cheers.
All right, I'll see you later, bro. Oh, goodness. Does the distillery have a halo over a mountain? Goodness.
Not yet.
You haven't talked about that. My dad gave you a verbal high five. That's my daddy. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning his time. Oh, we've got Ben from the north.
Hey, Ben, how you doing?
Oh, you're muted, buddy.
You are on mute.
Good evening, good morning.
Good evening,
What's
guys.
up, buddy?
First off, as a Canuck, thank you very much for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Is eternally grateful and thankful for it. I'm up in Alberta, and I think a couple years ago, someone was on with Matt from the Whiskey Crusaders.
Okay.
And well, you mentioned that you got several barrels going on. So I guess my question is how is the distribution for all the states going? And is it available at all in any other countries?
Distribution, it's measured. Like I said, we don't want to outrun our source. So we partnered with Gallo. So Gallo Spirits, Gallo Wines, they came in on board last summer as a minority partner. So about 20-something% partnership, but they have very deep experience within the spirits business and a huge sales force. So they're our agency right now, our brokers. So they're controlling much more of that, getting us into different states. New Hampshire was a surprise to us when we found out we were up there. North to South Dakota, Minnesota, and Michigan. So, and then here in Washington, we started distributing here last summer, and I'm hoping to get up into the Bellingham area, north up there towards the border, and tap into some of that Canuck goodness, and the guys coming across the border buying our whiskey. But other than the AFES, so the AFES is the Army Air Force Exchange Service.
Okay.
They're like one of our biggest retailers right now, and we just did a big convention with them down in Orlando last month, and they're on board now. So they were a very hard element to crack early on, which is weird since we are a military, not a military brand, but we're a bunch of veterans, right? You think it'd be the easy button for them, but they were a tough fight. But so we'll be in Japan, Germany, Korea here through the
military bases,
right? Through the military bases.
Yeah, good.
And then it's only a matter of time before that gets put out into the I would say the not the black market, but the free market there, right? Once it gets taken off base, introduced. But Canada is definitely on our radar.
I just know they said a couple years ago it was going to be several years. So I was just wondering how much closer, how many more steps there was towards that goal.
Yeah, and I think barrel inventory wise, we're doing good. We just gotta make sure that we can survive the gap between now and when we start our own distillation and those barrels aging.
Well, I think you said earlier, just slow and steady.
Right.
Don't overextend.
We were very fortunate too that we had some great investors early on, guys that believed in our story and saw the promise of our brand and invested in us, and that allowed us to basically sit on those first barrels for 3 years without putting out any product. So our first bottle wasn't poured until 2018. Yeah. So the investors typically they want to see a return, right? So there was no return for 3 years plus, and so we didn't have to make vodka or gin or anything else, right? We could go straight into bourbon, and just sit on our barrels for 3 years, which was tough.
Well, that's good. Just up here in Alberta or just Canada in general, like there's a lot of bourbons that don't make it up here.
Right.
Like, a lot of it is barrel proof. Specifically,
okay,
like Elijah Craig. We got Jack Daniels a bit, but no, just Horse Soldiers. Ever since I first heard about you guys from the Whiskey Crusaders, I've been waiting for. I'd love to get one. I just last time I was in the States was 2008, so.
Right. They're over in England, aren't they?
Pardon?
Whiskey Crusaders. They're over in England, aren't they?
Texas.
Who am I thinking of that's over on the other side of the pond?
England, or Scotland is Roy Aquavite. The whiskey friend, do you know him? Alan?
Yeah.
Maybe that's who you're thinking of. He's a Scotsman living in England.
Oh, yeah, Whiskey Crusaders. They said they've got a bottle signed by Mark and Bob of the 12-year Commander Select.
The 12-year? It's
know,
those commander selects are phenomenal. So Mark and Bob, they were the commanders that selected that barrel. Yeah. Bob has a great pellet. Like I said, we owe our flavor profile mostly to Mark or Bob working with our master distiller, right?
Yeah.
But a phenomenal. I assume you haven't not opened it up yet. If you're asking,
yeah, that's what he says. He said he hasn't opened it. He's just asking how it is. Yeah, that is awesome that you found a bottle signed by both of them, man.
Yeah, I was gonna tell him in the comment section. Cool. Wait until Remembrance Day. Then
those are hard to find, and it seems like you can find them in random places. There's one sitting on a shelf in Belgrade, Montana, at Commander's 4 signed. But the Belgrade Liquors are in Montana. The guy won't give it up, though.
That's funny.
So,
hey, thanks for coming on, Ben. I appreciate you, buddy.
Again,
thank you, Ben.
It was an honor to meet you, and thank you very much for your service, sir.
I appreciate that.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. I'll talk to you later, buddy. And we've got Rob from Whiskey Edition in the house.
All right, how you doing, Rob?
I hope I'm not on mute.
No, good to see you.
Oh, good. I'm glad Indpndt Joe came on first because I think I know where he may have got his bottle in the middle of nowhere, because my mom picked up this bottle in middle of nowhere, Larned, Kansas, and it was signed by
Mark Nooch.
So that was going to be one of my questions: is who's this Nooch guy?
Yeah, he's a major now.
Major SF.
Yeah, major. So SF is a branch, Special Forces branch, and then ODA 595.
I thought that was like some secret code he gave my mom or something. You know?
No, it's all officers have a branch, right? So a branch could be armor, infantry, artillery. So Special Forces is its own branch in the military now, or its own branch within the Army.
Well, she asked me if I wanted her to go get this because she heard he was going to be there signing bottles. I go, well, of course, that'd be great. And I hadn't even heard of your brand then before, so I said, well, of course, that would be fantastic to do that.
Yeah, he lives in Kansas and travels mostly Midwest.
Okay.
Where me being in Seattle, south of Seattle, I travel West Coast, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, and California.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, there you go. That makes sense. So, like Charred and Twisted, you know, I was going to make a cocktail. This is the first crack.
Oh, you're cracking that for the first time?
Nice pop.
Nice.
This is how I make a cocktail. So I put an ounce in, and then I stir it up, and then I put another ounce in, and that's about all I can do. That's about the extent of my. That's about the extent of my cocktail making these days. So
that's all you need right there.
Some lessons from the Charred and Twisted guys. So
I love it, buddy.
Cheers to you guys, and thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. That's great. That's really good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
so,
man.
is that the same edition as I'm assuming that's the same edition as Joe's? That's number. Was that 3 or 4?
114.9 proof.
Oh, that's the barrel proof?
Yeah, barrel strength. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the barrel proof. Yeah, so 114.9. Okay. Yeah, those can range from. I've got a bottle at 112.44. Highest I've seen it is 128.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I saw one that was 121. I have one that's 110.
Yeah, those came to Washington. I think that was one batch that came to Washington. All that 110 back last summer.
My mom weird. Probably kept the higher proof one, that stinker. So yeah. What are you gonna do?
124.6 is my favorite. If you find that one.
Oh yeah.
Cheaper.
Nice. So Rob, did you have a question, buddy? You want to get entered in this raffle here?
Yeah. What was this? What did all this mean on it? So I didn't know.
So the bottles designed primarily by the wives and Elizabeth Coco. Yeah, so that major Special Forces ODA 595. ODA means Operational Detachment Alpha.
Oh, okay.
And that's where you get your A-Team from, right? Yeah. So the old TV show, the movie A-Team.
Yeah.
That's derived from the ODA your Alpha team, your A team.
Okay.
Because you have your Bravo teams, your B teams, your C teams, and then your Delta detachments. That's what your Delta Force comes from. Is SFODDs.
I was going to say, so they could be the odd ones then, ODDs.
Right, ODD. So, but you won't hear, a Delta Force. You're not going to hear someone say ODD. That's just that's mostly within Special Forces. So, and the bottles themselves on the front there. So the only thing that's made overseas in the bottle is our Portuguese cork.
The cork, big cork game.
Yeah. Yes. So oak topper with the challenge coin embedded inside that. Yep. You got it right there. And then on the front there, you have a crossed hatchet and arrow, right?
Yep.
Hatchet, it pays homage to the Army Rangers. The arrow pays homage to the Army Green Berets. And of course, the label, you got the likeness from the America's Response Monument, forged in fire, but 1.4 pounds of glass in each bottle. Made in Anchorage, Anchorage Glass in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
I was going to say that in addition to a fine bourbon, it's also a weapon.
It's
some serious girth to it. You can just keep it by your bedside instead of a bat. So.
Yeah, I've dropped a few bottles in my day, and they bounce. I've only broken one, unfortunately.
Right.
But they are they're tough bottles. I think Sagamore has the only bottle that's probably as heavy as our bottle.
I think those Curiosity guys do their drops. They do the off their balcony. They've done a few of those bottle drops. So
Rob, I really appreciate you asking about the bottle design because, like we talked about a little bit ago, there is a video on their YouTube channel that talks all about the bottle design. That there is a challenge coin in the cork about how the bottle itself is supposed to look like it has broad shoulders, symbolizing the weight our military carries on their back, and about the horse soldier, the arrow, and the hatchet on here. And all the stuff that goes into this bottle and how distinct it is from every other one, you can find in the description, along with their Instagram and their website. You can find their YouTube channel, subscribe to their YouTube channel, and you can watch the video on how much thought they put into this barrel or bottle design.
Yeah, and I think all of us that are whiskey aficionados really appreciate that. Like somebody said earlier, it's not just a stock bottle that's come off of the line. It's got some thought behind it, makes it unique and something you want to keep on your bar.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, the accountants, the bean counters do not like our bottle. It's even the label is very expensive. That tin label.
Yeah.
Yes. I imagine so. It's not a paper stick-on label.
Right. So
it's a tin.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate you, Rob.
Hey, thanks, you guys.
You are now in the giveaway, sir.
Thank you.
I'll see you later. Let's see. Hold on. Yes. Not Rob. Vic, I will do that. Add as a moderator. Vic, I'm going to make you a moderator so you can drop your link. Big Vic is having an LSS. Is it LSS or LLS? He's having a fundraiser here in a couple days. Okay. I want to encourage other people to go to that because for a good cause. It's to help other people. Anyway, so we are ready to move on to the raffle, I believe. Unless, Vince, is there anything else you wanted to make sure we covered before we moved on to the raffle?
No.
It has been an absolute pleasure having you here and chatting it up with you, man. It really has.
Thank you, Mark.
It's been a blast. And I hope... Wait. That label doesn't peel off very well. Well, then don't try to peel it off.
You can take a heat gun and some fishing line, and you can take that label off.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense. I had some Horse Soldier whiskey. Hopefully one day I can wrap my hands in a bottle. I have to have some. Oh, have to have some. Yes. Dude, Ken, if I ever figure out how to mail you whiskey down there in Australia, dude. Some of the laws, I've tried to send them stuff before, and I keep getting turned away because of all the laws that.
Australia's tough to get into.
Yeah.
We have brought some of our whiskey into France. We jumped in D-Day back in the 75th anniversary. Some of the guys did, and brought some bottles into France that way.
Wheel of names. Let's see. I'm gonna definitely grab my first Horse Soldier after watching this. Simone Barkeep, if you jumped on and asked the question, I could give you a flight so you could determine which one you wanted to buy first. But you didn't jump on and ask. Goodness gracious, Tully. Will from Whiskey Chronicles, you didn't jump on either. What the Sam hell? And I saw Marvin on here earlier. Where did Marvin go? Boom. See, there's Marvin. Goodness. Could have given you guys a sample flight or a cool Horse Soldier glass. But we're going to go with what we got here. So I appreciate all you guys that jumped on and asked questions. Had a great time chatting with you guys, with Vince here. And once again, it's an honor to have Vince here. Let's see who gets the first giveaway. And it's William Hall in Indiana. William Hall, I'm going to send you a flight of all 3 different variants of Horse Soldier that I have. Appreciate you being here. Vince, next one is a glass from you, yeah?
All right.
Ooh, perfect. Charred. Oh, it almost was. It was Troyman. I thought it was going to land on Charred and Twisted. So Troyman gets a glass. I have to write these down or I'm going to forget them. Hold on.
Troyman?
Yeah. Indpndt Joe gets the next glass. That is awesome. He is down in Cali, and yeah, and so I can send that to him, or you can. Either way, Joe, I'm glad you got a special Horse Soldier glass because I know you already have some of their whiskey, and so you getting a glass I think is fantastic. Oh, I said Charred and Twisted.
Charred and Twisted.
So Charred and Twisted is next. So Will from Charred and Twisted, he's in my Army unit. And I can throw that at him. You don't have to mail that one anywhere.
Okay.
I can link up with you, Vince.
All right. That's easy.
So I got one more sample and one more glass. Ben from the north. I've got a box going out to him in Canada, so I can throw his glass in the box.
Okay.
So I can just add that along with the shipment I already got going to him.
I'll get that to you then.
That'll work out. That's freaking awesome. And the last one gets the. Oh, wait, I've got to remove. No, stop. All right, and Rob from Whiskey Edition, I'm going to give you the last samples. Not the last samples, but the sample flight. The 3 I have the straight bourbon, the small batch, and the barrel strength. So, Rob, I'll give you a sample of each one of the 3 that I have. That is fantastic.
I think that's the best prize of all.
Yeah, because, a lot of people, they're not in a spot where they're going to go buy 3 different bottles. And so if they can get a sample of all three and buy which one they like best, I think that's awesome. Okay, so I've got them all written down. William and Rob, you're getting the samples, and then Troy, Joe, Charred and Twisted, and Ben are getting a glass. And congrats to all the winners out there. Appreciate you guys. Wait, hold on. Indpndt Joe is trying to flag me down here. Are you trying to flag me down? Whoa.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot to mention a buddy of mine, Top Dog. He's in all the chats. Really awesome guy.
Are you talking Dustin?
Made me this little plaque here, and it has your guys's your foil, so you can take them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to be patient.
Pretty cool that he did that, and
it has the collar. It has the collar and the cork, and
yeah.
Wow.
You got everything on there. Yeah. That's pretty.
Dude,
that
is really cool.
Yeah.
Vince, have you ever seen anything like that before?
He was really awesome for making that.
Yeah. That took some effort right there.
Yeah. Have you seen anything like that before, Vince?
Not like that. Not at all.
Especially
that is
super cool.
The collar and that paper label. I don't know how to get those off. Those I know you take a heat gun, right? Take a heat gun to them, but even then, without it ripping, that's a pretty impressive act.
Yeah, hey, Joe, tell him I would greatly appreciate one. I will definitely send him money for shipping or whatever. Hey, thanks for showing that off, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is freaking cool. That is awesome, Joe. Thanks for showing us that. That is another
creative.
Yeah. So when it comes to a bottle, especially if it looks like time and effort was put into putting a bottle together,
right?
You don't have to just throw it right away. You know, there's a lot of things on social media where you'll see them cut the tops off the bottle, fill it with wax, and have it be a candle.
Right.
I've seen some bottles turned into lamps.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of cool stuff. That is super cool.
They put beads inside and make a lamp out of them.
Chris is still in the house. Glad you're still here. Whiskey edition, Rob. Yep, absolutely. Whiskey glass from Horse Soldier. That would be a treasure. Yep, absolutely. I'm glad you appreciate that, Ben. That's freaking awesome. Rigged. You didn't jump up and ask your question, Big Fit. Oh man. No, he didn't. Oh goodness. Hey, thank you guys all for being here and hanging out, watching us during this live stream of events. That's really cool. Yes, Joe, that was freaking awesome. Super badass. There was one other thing I was going to ask because I had a bunch of questions written down because I didn't want to take questions away from the audience members that jumped on. I heard that, was it your bourbon and your small batch had different mash bills?
Yeah, so the straight is,
I don't think most people know that.
Right. So the straight is a rye mash bill, high rye, about 25% rye, aged 3 years. And then our second mash bill is a wheated mash bill, also about 25% wheat. Like I said, it uses a red winter wheat out of Wyoming, Montana. And that one is aged minimum of 6 years plus for those bottles. And our small batch.
The small batch is a wheated bourbon then?
It is a wheated bourbon. I think that's
and the straight bourbon is a high rye bourbon.
It's a high rye bourbon, right?
So the barrel strength one, which one is that one, or is that a different mash bill also?
Nope, that's the exact same mash bill and age as our small batch.
Okay,
it's just that our small batch is a true small batch, so 7 to 10 barrels make up our small batch. And so some barrels,
so the barrel strength is a barrel strength wheater. Right. So the only one that's a high rye is the straight bourbon.
Right.
Okay, so I don't think most people know that, and I had heard that, and I had that written down on some of my questions, and I wanted to make sure I didn't burn all my questions because I wanted a lot of the audience to be able to get theirs in. Right. So, was there anything else to bring into that? You said the wheat was from Montana.
So yeah, it's a Wyoming, Montana sourced red winter wheat. The corn. Our corn is like most. It's a dead corn, Number 2 out of ours are out of small family farms out of Indiana. So mostly all bee pollination.
Yeah.
The filtering is uncut, so like our barrel proof, it has that nice thick mouth feel.
Yes, yes, it does. It's very satisfying across the whole palate. I love the barrel strength.
You got that Kentucky heat coming on. Like,
yeah.
Like I said, it's perfect around a fire with a nice cigar, vanilla cigar. But so that one out of the barrels into the bottles through a strainer.
Yeah.
But that it's not a single barrel. It can range from every batch is different because it depends on production need. So that's why you get the variation in proofing by quite a bit sometimes. Even in the same store, you might have 2 different proof points on that barrel proof. So I think by industry standards, it's still a small batch, but by our standards, it's not a small batch for sure. 50, 100 barrels maybe. And we no longer have the single barrel proofs because
oh really?
That's at our production level. That's hard to maintain that.
Right. So, is it because the profit margin is really low on a single barrel proof?
Yeah, and they're keeping up with. We are still relatively small. Our production staff is only about 6-7 people.
Yeah.
That go in and do everything, and then with the on-site folks as well. So, we're just not there yet where we can do single barrel, and then like when we get our distillery up and running, having a barrel select program where guys can come in, stay in our distillery at our hotel, on-site hotel, and then start tasting barrels and pick a barrel, right?
Yeah.
Or select a barrel. So that will come with our own distillery for sure.
That's sweet. Big Vic did drop the link to that LLS fundraiser that they're having this weekend. So if you guys are able to jump in that, just go in the comments. And
where's that at?
It's on YouTube. They're doing a live stream. There's over 25 bottles. If you donate money to the cause, you are entered into the raffle to win one of the barrels contributed by some of the people that are involved. And they got some great whiskey collections. And they're all about doing fundraisers for people who need it. And so Big Vic will be there on Saturday. Absolutely, man. Sounds like a fantastic plan. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to shut down the live stream. Vince, don't sign off yet because I'll close off with you backstage. But all you guys that are watching us live, appreciate you being here. Crusaders, are you trying to jump in the back stream or you want to get on now? We get on the back stream? No? Yes? No? Maybe? No? Okay. So anybody that wants to join us backstage, not on the live stream, you can go ahead and click that link and join in for some backstage shenanigans for a couple minutes before we close it down for good. But Vince, I'm going to solo you for a minute if you have any parting words.
No, I just want to say thank you guys for coming out and listening to our story. I know we didn't get everything, but I hope that in a few years that you can come out to our own distillery and get the full story.
Awesome. Thank you. Hold on, let me exit solo. All right, yeah. So once again, Vince, thanks for being here. At the beginning, you told the whole ramp up to that initial mission. And so if you guys want to learn more, check out their website, check out the movie. Thank you very much for telling that first part of the story. Very intriguing, very interesting. I know I'm going to love watching this one over and over again. And for all those that are watching it in the replay after our live stream tonight, in the description I'll have the chapter navigation, because what I'll do is I'll watch it on tomorrow and put in hyperlinks so you can fast forward to different conversation points in the video. For people that don't have, the full like hour and a half to watch it, they can just fast forward to different parts of it. We're the only ones in YouTube that does that, and we do that for you. Appreciate all you guys. Chris Hamilton's still here. Absolutely. Appreciate all you guys still hanging out. And we're going to jump off to the back room.
Thanks, guys.
Remember to take care of you and yours. Be a good influence on those within your sphere of influence. And protect and go. Cheers.